All right, we're back. Okay, so the next round is another decrease round, but actually, before we do that, I think I'm gonna have us put the eyes and the mouth on this thing. You can wait until after you've stuffed it and closed it. That's actually what I typically do. But I think in this case, I'm gonna have us sew it on now because it'll be much easier to close them off and deal with them while this is still open. So in the example here, they have these little dots for eyes, and those are these little things in here, which look like you have to glue them on. I said this earlier, I would not recommend doing this because they're likely to fall off and then it won't be very cute. And also it's not very safe for any kids that you have or pets that you have. Okay, so let's actually start with the eyes. I'm going to walk you through this. So it's going to be different. There's no instructions on here for it. Basically, we're going to make little like happy V eyes on this, just right here in the middle. Now, I did not practice this ahead of time, so we're going to just kind of figure it out together. All right, so I have here black yarn, I have orange yarn for when we're ready to make the mouth. So what I'm going to do here is, in this case, I'm going to do what I said not to do for everyone else, but I mean, we're going to use so little yarn here. I don't mind pulling it off and cutting it from the ball here. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the needle that is in here, and this one I'll use with everyone. Let me grab it out here. So the way we're going to do this, so in order to get yarn on a needle, this is how I do it. You're going to put the yarn around the needle nice and tight. You're going to actually hold it tight. You're going to pull the needle head through so you have yarn here nice and tight. This luckily is a pretty big needle head, so you don't have to worry too much about it. And then you're going to just slide this through both sides and then pull it. There you go. We do not need much yarn for these eyes. So, and in fact, I could probably not cut it yet, but I'm going to go ahead and do that so that I'm not stuck to the end of this. I don't know, I'm gonna do about an arm's length or less. We're not gonna need much. The other thing is, if you want a smaller sort of eye width of the yarn, you can pull this apart so you only get like a few of the plies. I'm going to just do the full thing. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to end up making an upside down V in here, but we're going to pull our yarn through into the two bottom points, and then we're going to put we're going to sort of pull our yarn through at the point to make it stick. I'll show you what I mean. So first you're going to pull this in, I don't know, probably about here, this stitch right here. So here's the one that was like the full length one. Here's your 4 stitches, here's your 3 stitches. So it's going to be kind of like next to the first stitch that is in this row. Pull this, leave a tail here, pretty long, especially because you're gonna have to work with it later. Then we're gonna put our needle through right about here, I would say. So this is sort of a 1.5 stitches over. Again, I'm completely making this up. If it doesn't look good, we're just gonna pull it apart and do it again. So I'm gonna put this kind of out of the way. I'm gonna pull this, hold on to your yarn there, the tail of it. See, look, it's gonna start to turn into a happy face. All right, so I've got my needle. I'm gonna pull it up in this way, so it's right here. And then I'm gonna make sure that this black one is outside it. All right, and then I'm gonna pull this up. Again, make sure you don't lose your other end in here, because if you keep pulling too tight, you're gonna end up pulling your whole yarn through. Okay, so, oh my gosh, this is turning out so adorable. I love it so much. Okay, so there we go. And then now this yarn's on the underside of the V. We're gonna push it back through the same hole, but on the other side of the V. So then that helps keep it in place. I'm gonna pull that through. Check out that little eyeball. How cute is that? I'm gonna pull both sides. And then I'm gonna actually turn this little guy inside out. I'm gonna tie these two off so I make sure that stays in place. Do not cut your yarn yet. We're gonna just go straight over to the other side to pop in that other eye. Woohoo! Okay, so I'm going to tie this off, tied off. I'm going to pop this back inside out. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I think this is so much cuter than the original. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to start out exactly, I'm going to mirror it so that I make sure I got it all even. I'm going to pop my needle up into the one stitch over on these fours. Kind of watch out for your other yarn, especially your working yarn that you're still working the round in. I'm going to pop this one in about 1.5 stitches over. Okay, pull that. Don't pull it all the way. You want a little bit of looseness to bring in that V. And then in here, I'm going to find right there, no, right about here in the middle is where I want to kind of pop out from. Oh, come on, needle, you can do it. Let's see here. Boop. I'm going to force it through. I think I'm going to force it through. Yeah, that's kind of where I want it. Okay. Okay, there we go. That's good enough for me. That's kind of where the other one is at. I'm going to make sure this yarn is over my needle. Here I don't have to worry as much about losing the yarn because it's all in here. See, it's already pulled through. So I'm just going to make sure it's a little tight. Oh my goodness, it's so cute. Okay, and then I'm going to go over the V here to go back through that hole. Pull this through. Ooh, and then see, I'm getting my working yarn caught. Doop. Oh my gosh, look at her little happy eyes. Oh my goodness. Okay, and then I'm going to pull this through here again. And in this case, I want to actually come back over to here to anchor this end again. So I'm just going to kind of poke this underneath here just to kind of get it over to this side like that again. And then I'm going to tie this off. Tie it off. Tie it off. Whoop. And then I'm going to cut this string off. And we're good to go. There's our little eyes. Oh my goodness, it's so cute. All right, now let's add the little mouth, and it's going to be even cuter. All right, so I'm going to pull my black yarn off of my needle. I'm going to grab my orange yarn. This is mine. And then again, I'm going to find the actual end here, this one, and use that. And then this I'm going to need even less than before because it's just literally a line or two. But I'll just cut it here. You do want to have a fair amount of yarn to work with, like when you want to tie it off. So that's something to look for. Oh, let me show you again how I do this. So I put the yarn around the needle head, nice and tight. I hold it tight between my thumb and my thumb and my forefinger. Pull the yarn head out, and then put this yarn head through the needle head. The eye of the needle, as they say. Okay, so here we go. I might have made it too short. We shall see. All right, here now, it looks like we put this little mouth right above the white and the blue. So I'm just going to come up here, and we're going to do this twice, it looks like. Oh, actually, we don't need to do this twice. If I just pull this yarn here and just treat this like it's one, I'm going to pull this a little. Yep, there. And we only have to do it once. I want to make sure to keep this kind of like nice and neat and on top of each other, not twisted. And I'm going to go through, I don't know, I think this is it. So I'm going to pull this through. I'm going to hold that down so it doesn't go anywhere. I'm going to try to untwist it. Oh goodness, look at my little penguin. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, so cute. Okay, and then I'm going to pull this inside out so I can tie all these pieces together. Oh yeah, that was so much easier than if we stuffed it first. So this was a good idea, Alyssa. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back for this one. Okay, tied. And let's check it out. Oh my goodness, the most adorable little penguin indeed. Okay, now this one I have to cut because it's stuck on there. I'm going to cut that. There's my needle, all done with the needle. And there you go. Now we've got our little penguin face on there. Yay!